Well, you know, it's an interesting, first, you know, Chicago is my home. I was born and raised on the South Side in a little neighborhood called South Shore. So it's great to be back home, and but particularly to come home to the reception that we're getting with the Chicago Film Festival. It's so great of them to have included
What
us.
made you really want to take on this role for Mr.
I am very
Sophistication?
proud of this movie for a couple of reasons. One is that the role was written for me specifically by Danny Green, who is the director and writer. I love the opportunity to play a comedian. This is something that is outside, generally speaking, of the type of films that I get. I normally play sort of authoritarian figures, some villains, you know, that sort of thing, sometimes cops. I mean, it's been a very great journey. This has been 3 years that we've been working on this movie from start to finish. We wanted to take our time. We have taken our time. What I'm curious most about is the reception that Ron Waters is going to get, because he's become my alter ego. And he does something that I don't do, which is that he does stand-up. I think Ron Waters is actually a very interesting guy, and I think that that type of comedian is missing, I think, on the landscape. Obviously, there are very funny men out there, funny women, but a kind of person that calls himself Mr. Sophistication, somebody that believes that he is more of a raconteur and an entertainer, kind of musical, comedic, acting kind of amalgamation is rare. We don't see that kind of thing much anymore.
How similar are you or dissimilar to the Ron Walters in the role that you play, either now or maybe in a previous life?
Life, my wife would kill me, so, so I would have to go into the next life. But I'm not at all like Ron Walters. Ron is a lot smoother, he's a lot better dressed. He's a lot conscientious, a lot more conscientious about his appearance and getting the things out of life that he believes are his just
There's been a lot of buzz. You know, you're from Chicago, our president is from Chicago, and a lot of buzz about a movie, you know, about President Barack Obama and you playing that role. Would that be something that's interesting to you, and you know, how would you approach taking on that role?
Well, you know, it's an interesting thing. People have said this. Of course, I think Will Smith is probably the leading candidate right now. I think that would be great casting. I don't have a particular interest in playing the role just, you know, off the top of my head. But depending on what kind of script it would be and what the circumstances would be and what story is being told, it might be something in the offing one day, but I don't have a great relish to do it. I wouldn't, at this point in my life, I don't want to be associated exclusively or primarily with playing a person that's still in office and is still alive and is still doing his thing. I think he does a pretty good job.
In general, what would you want people to take away?
I basically want people to come away from the movie having been entertained by an interesting story and a compelling character and some lovely performances that surround that performance. Tatum O'Neal, I think, is somebody who you know, stills the movie. I think Robert Patrick, you get to see him in a role that you don't normally get to see him in. Gina Torres does a lovely job. Our new actress, Paloma Guzman, actually she's on a television show and she's now, which is called Pretty Little Liars. But I just want people to have a good time, and I think that I want them to believe that this is a kind of guy that can exist in the real world, that he's authentic, that he's a fully dimensionalized guy, that he's got character and dimensions, and that he's a compelling figure, and that there are people like that, or at least with whom this story resonates. Hi, I'm Harry Lennix, and this is Rolling Up.